Hello students, good evening. Today we are going to discuss about the image formation and derivation of the curved surfaces. We have an equation for that. Today we are going to derive that equation. For this, we assume one situation in which one curved surface separates the two transparent media. So this is treated as a denser medium, this is treated as a rarer medium. This is the optic center, and the line which is passing through the optic center P is called principal axis. Okay. So here we placed one point object on the principal axis at O. One light ray which is passing through the principal axis, then the corresponding refracted ray doesn't deviate its direction. And one more light ray which incidents at one point A. To find the refracted ray for this ray, immediately we have to draw one normal to this point. According to principles of the refraction, any light ray which moves from rarer to denser, the corresponding refracted ray moves nearer to the normal, so that it moves nearer to the normal. So where it intersects the principal axis, those point is treated as a I. The center of the curvature of this curved surface is C. If you draw one normal to this point of incidence, here one angle is formed. The angle between incident ray and normal, those angle is incidence angle, which is denoted by the letter theta1. Here this incident ray refracted in this direction. Here also the one angle is formed between normal and refracted ray. Those angle is treated as a refracted angle. It is denoted by the letter theta2. The refractive index of the first medium is N1 and the refractive index of the denser medium is N2. Draw one normal from point A to principal axis. Where this normal intersects the principal axis, those point is treated as a N. And also here this incident ray makes alpha angle with principal axis, and this normal makes beta angle with principal axis, and also this refracted ray makes gamma angle with principal axis. So here triangle AOC, one triangle is formed, and also triangle ACI is also formed. First consider AOC triangle. Triangle AOC. According to properties of the triangle, in any triangle, any one side is extended, one exterior angle is formed. Those exterior angle is equals to sum of the opposite interior angles, so that theta1 is equals to alpha plus beta. This is treated as equation 1. So consider this triangle ACI. Here if we extended CI or IC side, one exterior angle is formed beta. So exterior angle is equals to sum of the opposite interior angles. So beta is equals to theta2 plus gamma. So any additive factor moves other side of the equality gets subtraction. So beta minus gamma is equals to theta 2, or theta 2 is equals to beta minus gamma. This is equation 2. So here we find angle of incidence theta 1 and angle of refraction theta 2. So we are applying Snell's law in this context. What is the Snell's law? N1 into sin I is equals to N2 into sin R. N1 into sin I is equals to N2 into sin R. So when any light ray which moves from one transparent medium to another transparent medium, by using Snell's law we can find the behavior of the refracted ray. So that here we are applying Snell's law for this angle of incidence and this angle of refraction. So N1 into sin I is equals to how much? Theta 1. That is equals to N2 into sin R. Sin R, angle of refraction here in this context theta 2. We have already found that theta 1. N1 into sin theta 1 is equals to alpha plus beta, and N2 sin beta minus gamma. If any light rays which moves very nearer to the principal axis, for example, this is treated as a principal axis. If any light rays which moves very nearer to the principal axis, those light rays are called paraxial rays. The light rays which moves very nearer to the principal axis are called paraxial rays. So in the case of paraxial rays, the angles are very less but not equals to 0. The angles are very less, so that we remove sign ratios in this equation. These approximations are called paraxial approximations, so that this equation N1 into alpha plus beta is equals to N2 into beta minus gamma. N1 into alpha plus beta is equals to N2 into beta minus gamma. Here, to find the alpha ratio, beta ratio, gamma ratio. So by using the AON right angle triangle, by using ANC right angle triangle, by using ANI right angle triangle, we can find the alpha, beta, gamma values. So this is treated as an equation 3. So consider triangle ANO, ANC, ANI. Consider triangles ANO. All these are right angle triangles. ANC, ANI. So in the right angle triangle, the side which is opposite to right angle is called hypotenuse. So in this right angle triangle, we can find tan ratio. Tan alpha is equals to opposite by, so tan alpha opposite by adjacent, AN by ON, tan beta, so AN by NC, tan gamma, AN by NI, AN by NI. So all these cases for paraxial rays. So remove the tan ratios. At that time what happened? Alpha is equals to AN by ON. Beta is equals to AN by NC. Gamma is equals to AN by Ni. Okay. So substitute all these values in the equation 3. We get n1 into an by on plus an by mc is equals to n2 an by mc minus gamma an by ni. So in the LHS side, in this equation, in both terms, an is present. So n1 into an 1 by on plus 1 by mc. Here also in both terms an is present. An is taken as a common factor. n2 into an 1 by mc minus 1 by ni. An gets cancelled. So n1 into 1 by on plus 1 by mc, that is equals to n2 into 1 by mc minus 1 by ni. So these calculations or these approximations are suitable to paraxial approximations. For example, if the light ray moves very nearer to the normal, this gets a refraction like this. If you draw from the point of incidence to principal axis one normal, at the time what happened? This point n must be coincides with the optic center, so that in the place of n we are going to substitute. So n1 into 1 by OP plus 1 by PC is equals to ND into 1 by PC minus 1 by PI. So here OP or PO, PC, PO, the distance between optic center and object. In the optics, the distance of the object is denoted by the letter U. PC, the distance between optic center and center of the curvature of the curved surface, this is called radius of the curvature. This is denoted by the letter R. The distance between optic center and image, which is denoted by the letter V. So in the optics, the distance of the object is denoted by the letter U. The distance of the radius of the curvature is denoted by the letter R. Distance of the image is denoted by the letter V. So substitute all these values in this equation. We get n1 into 1 by U plus 1 by R is equals to n2 into 1 by R minus 1 by V. So remove the brackets. N1 by U plus N1 by R is equals to N2 by R minus N2 by V. By transposition, we get N1 by U plus N2 by V is equals to N2 by R minus N1 by R. So N1 by U plus N2 by V is equals to N2 minus N1 by R. So this equation is suitable for particular situation what we have taken in this context. But if you generalize this equation, we have to apply sign conventions. So what are the sign conventions? So we should measure. We have three sign conventions. First one is we should measure all distances from the optic center while measuring distance of the object or distance of the image or radius of the curvature. For example, distance of the object. In this context, distance of the object. we should measure the distance of the object from the optic center to object. So this distance is called distance of the object. Distance of the image. We should measure the distance from the optic center to the image. Thus distance is called distance of the image. Radius of the curvature. The distance between optic center and the radius of the curvature is called center of the curvature is called radius of the curvature. So the first sign convention is we should measure all the distances from the optic center. Okay. Number 2. Here the incident light direction is like this, because the point object is placed at the point O on the principal axis. So the incident light direction is like this. So while measuring any distances such as distance of the object or distance of the image or radius of the curvature, while measuring all these distances in the direction of the incident light, at the time we take positive value. While measuring all these distances opposite to incident light direction, at the time we take negative value. That is the second sign convention. Third one. While measuring the heights of the objects or heights of the images above the principal axis, at the time we take positive signs for those values. While measuring the heights of the objects or heights of the images below the principal axis, at the time we take negative signs for those values. These are the 3 sign conventions. Once again, we should measure all distances from the pole. Number 2. While measuring all these distances in the direction of the incident light, at the time we take positive value. While measuring all these distances opposite to incident light direction, at the time we take negative value. While measuring the heights of the objects or heights of the images above the principal axis, at the time we take positive value. While measuring the heights of the objects or heights of the images below the principal axis, at the time we take negative value. Here, if you apply sign convention for this equation, here the incident light direction is like this. So while measuring, we have to measure the distance of the object from optic center to O. While measuring this distance, we are moving in this direction. So U becomes negative. Distance of the image from the optic center to image, we are moving in the same direction of the incident light direction, so that V becomes positive. The radius of the curvature from the optic center to the center of the curvature, while measuring this distance, we are moving in the incident light direction, so R becomes also positive. So in the above equation, N1 by minus 2 plus N2 by V is equals to N2 minus N1 by R. This can be written as N2 by V minus N1 by U is equals to N2 minus N1 by R. So this is the equation for image formation when any light ray incident on the curved surfaces. N2 by V minus N1 by U is equals to N2 minus N1 by R, where N2 is the refractive index of the denser medium, N1 is the refractive index of the rarer medium, U is the distance of the object, V is the distance of the image, R is the radius of the curvature. So we are applying this equation or this formula for only when the light ray incident on the curved interface of two transparent media. When any light ray travels from one transparent medium to another transparent medium, at that time the interface is plane. At that time, which type of formula we have to use? So for example, the interface is plane, R becomes infinity. Why R becomes infinity? Radius of the curvature of the plane surface, because those plane surface is also part of the planet. In our planet Earth, the radius of our planet is very huge value, very big value, so that in this case we are taking radius of the any plane interface is taken as an infinite value. So substitute this value in the whole equation, we get n2 by v minus n1 by u is equals to n2 minus n1 by infinite. According to mathematics, 1 by infinity, 1 by 0 is equals to infinity. From this we can derive 1 by infinity is equals to 0. So n2 by v minus n1 by u is equals to n2 minus n1 into 1 by infinity becomes 0. So n2 by v minus n1 by u is equals to 0. It can be written as n1 by u is equals to n2 by v. When the light ray travels one transparent medium to another transparent medium, the interface of both transparent media is plane. At that time we have to apply this formula, n1 by u is equals to n2 by v. If the interface of both transparent media is curved, at that time we have to apply this formula, n2 by v minus n1 by u is equals to n2 minus n1 by r. So now we are going to derive one more formula, that is Lenz's formula. So for this we take one biconvex lens and this is the optics center. This is F2, this is F1. We placed one object O, Y. So one light ray from the bottom of the object passes through the principal axis, then the corresponding refracted ray doesn't deviate its direction. Okay. Next, one more light ray from the top of the object passes parallel to the principal axis. According to the behavior of refracted ray, any light ray which travels parallel to the principal axis, the corresponding any light ray which passes parallel to the principal axis, the corresponding refracted ray passes through the focus point. Focus point. To find the image of this object, we draw one more light ray from the top of the object which passes through the optic center. Any light ray which passes through the optic center of any lens, the corresponding refracted ray doesn't deviate its direction because it becomes normal to this point, so that it moves in the same direction. These two refracted rays intersect at one point. From that point of intersection, draw one normal to the principal axis. So here the image of the O is formed here, that is called I. The image of the O dash is formed here, that is I dash. The bottom portion of the object formed at the upper portion of the image, the top portion of the object formed at the bottom portion of the image. So this image is real image, that image is inverted. Okay, so this point of incidence is treated as a P dash. Here, in this case, we have to consider two triangles. One is P dash F1 and another one is F1 I dash. These two triangles are similar triangles. What is meant by similar triangles? The ratio of the sides of first triangle is equals to the corresponding sides of the second triangle. The ratio of any two sides of first triangle is equals to the ratio of the corresponding sides of the second triangle. Then we can say that those two triangles are similar triangles. So P dash F1 and F1 I dash are similar triangles. So the ratio PF1 PP dash by PF1 in this triangle, PP dash by PF1 is equals to the corresponding sides. The corresponding side of PP dash is equals to I dash. So I dash divided by F1I. By getting cross multiplication, PP dash by I dash is equals to PF1 by F1I. Here F1I. The distance between F1 and I is called F1I. It can be written as PI minus PF1. So PP dash divided by I dash is equals to PF1 by PI minus PF1. This is treated as a equation 1. Next, again consider two more similar triangles in this diagram, that is PO dash. Another one is PI dash. So consider another pair of similar triangles, PO dash and PI dash. So PO dash by OP is equals to corresponding sides I dash by PI. O dash by OP is equals to I dash by PI. So here O dash, the height of the object, which is equals to the PP dash, because these two lines are parallel to each other, so that the distance between these two lines at any place must be equal. So in the place of O dash we can substitute PP dash. PP dash by OP is equals to I dash by PI. This is treated as a equation 2. So consider first equation and equation 2. In the first equation and equation 2 we get same values of the left hand side, PP dash by I dash. So equate these two equations from equation 1 and 2. I dash by PI is equals to F1 by PI minus PF1. From 1 and 2, I dash by PI is equals to PF1 by PI minus PF1. Okay. So here we get cross multiplication. Before that we get cross multiplication. O dash by I dash is equals to OP by PI. Okay. So OO dash is equals to the PP dash. So in the place of OO dash we can substitute PP dash. PP dash by I dash is equals to OP by PA. This is treated as a equation 2. So if you observe equation 1 and equation 2, in both equations we get same LHS value. So that if you equate these two equations, we get PO by OP or PO by PI is equals to PF1 by PI minus PF1. Reciprocate the fractions on both sides of the equality, we get Pi by Po is equals to Pi minus Pf1 by Pf1. Okay. So Pi by Po is equals to Pi by Pf1 minus Pf1 divided by Pf1. So Pi by Po is equals to Pi by Pf1 minus 1. Minus 1. So Pi, the distance between optic center and image, that is denoted by the letter V. PO, the distance between optic center and object, that is called distance of the image. PO is equals to U. Before that, divide this equation by Pi, we can get 1 by PO divided by 1 by Pf1, that is minus 1 by Pi. Dividing this equation by Pi on both sides of the equality, we get 1 by PO. Pi gets cancelled. Pi gets cancelled, so that 1 by P1, 1 by Pi. So PO, the distance between optic center and object, is equals to distance of the object, which is denoted by the letter U. 1 by U is equals to 1 by Pf1. The distance between optic center and focus point, that is called focal length, that is denoted by the letters F, minus Pi, the distance between optic center and image, that is denoted by the letter V. So by transposition, 1 by U plus 1 by V is equals to 1 by F. It can be also written as 1 by F is equals to 1 by U plus 1 by V. So this is the lens formula for biconvex lens for particular condition what we have taken in this context. But if we apply sign conventions to generalize this equation, we have to apply sign conventions. So here we are measuring the distance of the object opposite to the incident light direction, so that U becomes negative. While measuring the distance of the image, we are moving in the direction of the incident light, so that V becomes positive. While measuring the focal length, we are moving in the same direction of the incident light, so that F is also positive. So apply those sign conventions. 1 by F is equals to 1 by minus U plus 1 by V. It can be also written as 1 by F is equals to 1 by V minus 1 by U. So this is the lens formula. 1 by F is equals to 1 by V minus 1 by u. Here f is the focal length of the lens what we have taken in this particular context. V is the distance of the image and u is the distance of the object. So this is the lens formula.